So as much as possible, the BiZHUB is going to try and deliver what it does online. So that's why we're doing this. Don't forget, we aren't going to be doing the board and business exchange. We're on lockdown effectively. We can't say for certain if pubs and public gatherings are going to be allowed, so we will update you when that's available. The LinkedIn local, that's going to have to be rescheduled. It was supposed to be on the 17th. Unfortunately, we took the rather sensible decision, I think, to give ourselves a clear slate and not introduce people who might spread the disease or whatever. So there was that. Things that we've got coming up. We've got today, which is not the member spotlight, it's the team member spotlight. We're going to be talking to Louise and Claire and throwing some interesting questions at them. We've also got some videos that we're going to be sharing next week in the same line. We interviewed all of the team, so you'll be able to see those on the Hub website. Will they be in the members area, Gareth?
Yes, it will be in the members area. Just a quick one, Stu, the PowerPoint's not moving along.
Is it not moving along?
It's not moving along.
Hang on a minute. Let me try it again. Can you see that?
Yes.
Can you see it now?
So yeah, we've got the first page. There we go, now it's moving along.
Fantastic. Sorry, folks. Technical hitches may be shared as well as the good stuff. Right, so where did we get to? We got to the rescheduled event, Learn and Inspire. Yes, the member spotlight session is now going to be a team member spotlight session today, but we're also sharing more content online. Our entire plan is to give you a single point of contact on the signalborden.org website where you will be updated about what's going on nationally, locally, plus giving you a load of great content and great value to help you during this time. So do keep your eyes on that. There's already several blog posts that have been posted. We've got video content. We've got a lot more stuff coming up. We've been in absolute lockdown ourselves this week. The whole team has been buzzing with ideas that we can do to help the BiZHUB members. And then next week is the members only mastermind. That will be conducted in a Zoom chat, much like this, and each person in turn will be given the chance to put up their video or just chat in the chat box. We feel that's the best way to do that, and there will still be the 2 sessions, so the morning and the afternoon. If you've got any questions, feel free to either stick them in the chat box because Gareth is monitoring it, or get in touch with us after. The members Facebook group is going to be key to this, so please, if you haven't signed up, if you aren't in the members Facebook group, please go to the BiZHUB members Facebook group and ask to join today, because that's where we're going to be sharing a hell of a lot of information as well. Okay.
Before you move on, Stu, just a quick one to tell people that make sure that you book on for the events, because the links to the meetings will come out in the Eventbrite reminder 1 hour before the session. So just everyone make sure that you book onto the event, because that way you'll then get the link to the talk.
Fantastic. Yes. So keep an eye on your email as well. So in April, we are still going to try our very best to bring you these talks, albeit digitally, a bit like this. How to get 30 leads in 30 days by the awesome, I really rate this guy, Richard Woods. You may have seen him on The Apprentice, but he's actually the real deal. He walks the walk as much as he talks the talk. So book in, and please, yes, do book in on Eventbrite so we know to send you the link to the video stream. Then we've got coming up the video marketing and live streaming, how to use this medium to give you the absolute best chance of not only getting through the current situation, but also to come out the other side with a new skill and a new ability to find and keep customers. Then there is no member spotlight. We've got a bank holiday weekend, and then it's followed up by the members only mastermind. Again, we'll be doing that, delivering that online. Now, obviously, because from Monday, Signal is locked down. The building won't be open, so do not turn up, as you will not be able to come in for co-working or to see the team. So we've worked with Suzanne Driver, who's the Microsoft Office expert, and she's taken her Harness the Power of Excel online course, and is going to deliver it online Monday the 20th of April, and ticket prices have been slashed. For BiZHUB members, it's just £30. So that is well worth signing up for and getting online to see, because Suzanne really does know her stuff. And Gareth and I have both sat, well, in fact, the team have sat through training sessions, and she just absolutely knows Microsoft Office 365 inside and out. It's brilliant. So, as I mentioned before, because we're in this unprecedented, in pretty much the whole of modern human history, unprecedented situation where the world seems to be on lockdown, but we want to provide you with the very best place to get the information, and that is at signalborden.org/newsflash. That will then take you to our regularly updated blog post, and then from that blog post, which will have bullet points of the latest information, links to further information either off our website or as additional blog posts or content on our website. So please go along to that URL, bookmark it, and keep returning, because we will be updating that regularly. I want to say every day, because if new stuff comes out every day, then we're going to be across it, but we will update it as regularly as we possibly can given the current situation. Okay, you obviously can't meet the team, so that's why we're doing the team spotlight. So do feel free to ask questions when Louise and Claire are being interviewed. Check in with Signal. Well, you can't check in with Signal, but do sign up to that Facebook members group. I can't urge you enough to be doing that. And yes, you can still link with us on LinkedIn. Again, the Facebook group, I will keep saying this. You can follow us on Twitter. We'll be putting out updates on there as well. But that domain name, that URL that I gave out, is the central point where all of the information will be. And you can follow us on Instagram. Maybe start your own Instagram and do your lockdown diary and show us and share with us something about you, something about what you're passionate about during this time. Feedback is crucial at this time. If we are missing something, or if there is a problem or a hiccup or a headache that possibly we might have missed, or there's something you want specifically addressed, then Gareth, myself, any of the team members, please do approach us, put it in the Facebook group, but come to us and we will do our level best, given the current situation, to deliver what your feedback tells us. So, who's had a win? We've had a win. We have got the entire team digitally online, and it's taken practices and tests and tweaks. I think that's a big round of applause for the team. Just got to tell you that if you don't respond in the chat box, I won't know that you're actually seeing me. So I could be just in my own office talking to myself. So please do type your answers or questions. Who's had a win? Who's had a win? Oh, who's had a win, Gareth? Who's there with a win?
So at the moment, we haven't got any wins yet. Come on, people, pop your wins in. But we have just had a message from Sarah Bass saying feeling, oh God, loads of wins coming in now.
Yes.
Hold on, right there. Gosh, so much. So Sarah Bass is basically saying she's feeling so much better about the lockdown with everything that we're doing, which is good.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sarah.
Esther has said, I've had a win. Her little video with her mum chatting about the virus, which is really good. I do recommend giving it a watch.
Fantastic. Excellent.
We also have an old hub member. Alana is back with us after being off, and she is here with her new little baby. So that's a win as well, getting back into the business.
Cheers. Brilliant.
Graham Bell says, well done for us for getting the Zoom sorted. Thank you, Graham. It's been fun.
Yes.
Sarah Bass is just saying she's winning. I think you are definitely winning.
Oh, Michael Stockford is spending more time with his dog and she's happy. Even our pets are winning. That's fantastic.
Angie Brown, she helped out with a group of coaches who are doing pro bono support by creating their BIOS document. That's great.
Brilliant. Excellent.
John Ryland has just come on. He got a pilot plant in Leeds running properly now, so that's a very good win.
Boom.
Boom. And of course, their dog Sophie is getting lots of cuddles. So anyone who's met Sophie knows that she loves a cuddle. So absolutely enjoying that. And we have a really big win as well from Sue Bond. I don't know if people know, but she had an issue with her Facebook where her Facebook got shut down. She is now back online. Woo! So welcome back, Sue. It's good to have you back on.
Fantastic.
I've got lots of wins. Sheila's saying she's having a win keeping her hubby happy, which is good.
Excellent.
Graham vows, I've just completed my main deliverable for the Geospatial Commission project. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. So well done, Graham. That's fantastic.
Yes.
And then and that's it. One thing to say, when you are posting the message, just post it to all panelists and attendees. That way everyone can then see what you're saying as well, so we can all be in touch with everyone. But well done, people. There's a lot of good wins going on, which is great in a time like this.
Well done, everybody. Yes, good. So, member spotlight, inspiration session. I think what we need to do is they're very nervous being on video, etc., but I think we should give a warm, absolutely massive round of applause virtually in the chat box for the wonderful, the amazing, the awesome Louise Eldridge and Claire Carter. Boom! Here they are, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey. Good morning, all. Good morning, everybody.
Good
to
morning.
Be here.
Claire, good morning, Louise.
It's a whole new world.
Absolutely. We're going to be seeing a lot of people's houses. So who had to do a quick whip round tidy up?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Most
I don't know
definitely.
if anyone saw my picture on Instagram, but the before and after, have a look on my Instagram because it's shocking, really. My home office is that bad.
Yeah, it was fantastic because you shared that photo with us yesterday, Gareth, the before. And when you posted the after today, I was in absolute hysterics. I thought, yeah, that's exactly what I did. I whipped around and tidied everything up.
Lou didn't need to do that, obviously. Glamorous Lou's office looked amazing.
Mine was quite tidy, sorry everybody, but there you go.
Mine was tidy in comparison to Gareth's and Stu's, is all I'm going to say.
All right, no need to cut me that bad.
Okay, so we usually do the member spotlight, as you know. And unfortunately, you know, the situation being what it is, we're going to turn the spotlight on ourselves and we're going to have the members, team members spotlight. So I've got these pre-prepared questions. I'm going to ask you, I think in turn, rather than one person and then the next person, I think we'll ask the question and both of you can answer in turn, and then we'll move to the next question, rather than somebody sitting there just waiting for all their questions. So we're going to start with your past, but we're not going to use the standard members spotlight questions. Oh no, We are asking even more searching, more intimate, and dare I say it, more personal questions to find out, to get under and dig into the people that run Signal. So I think we'll start with the fantastic, the inimitable Louise Eldridge.
Oh.
Given the current situation being what it is, there's a lot of problems in the world. So give me an example in the past where things may have not gone the way you wanted them to at Signal and what you did to overcome it.
So I was going to draw from something way back in my past when things go wrong. I hate admitting things going wrong, I have to say. I think anybody does, but we're going to be really honest. So I'm going to tell you a story of something when something went quite horribly wrong, and I hopefully managed to redeem it. Okay. I was very involved in running events for business training, and it was not for Signal, it was for another, I was a contractor somewhere else. And basically we were arranging these training sessions. So as always, everything was in order, got everything sorted, venue, participants, links, everything sorted. It was good because the membership grew, so we had to change venue. So we changed venue, and again, it's like with anything, when you do it, you change, and then you have to send all the stuff out to everybody else. Done, result. Unfortunately, that venue got into a bit of a problem, so we had to change venue for the second time. I was coming into some problems now. Large group of people, about 60 plus, large group of people, really having to get in touch with everybody to make sure my communications were good. So I managed it, found another venue, I was on it, sorted it. I was really pleased with myself. Venue went ahead, breakfast buffet that they had in the morning, no complaints. I thought, I've nailed this, absolutely nailed it. The praise was unbelievable from the various people. Amazing, you've done it. I was thinking, oh, nailed it, I'm good at this. And then the presenter phoned me live from the room where he was about to present to 60 people and said, we've got no course notes. I was like, oh, okay, we're running a course. I got so wrapped up in the fact that I was trying to get venues and food and buffets and all of that. I totally lost sight of the fact that we were actually delivering a course. So think quick, what do you do? So I did a quick Google search nearby on Google, found a printer, phoned the printer, sent them the PDF, and within 45 minutes, they had course notes. So I rocked it, but wow, really took my finger off the pulse as to actually what I was doing, got a bit wrapped up in sort of venues, etc.
But those skills have been absolutely demonstrated with the Jumpstart in January events, because working with you, I just know how much of a stickler you are for the nuts and the bolts and the dots and the crosses, and just, so that's brilliant. What about you, Claire? When has something gone wrong and you've righted it? Could be at Signal, could be before.
So mine is at Signal, not quite as massive as Lou's, but we were doing our first Facebook Lives, and it was my very first Facebook Live. And I was quite nervous about it. I'm not good on camera. And Gareth said to me, don't worry, it's absolutely fine. You're going to be interviewing Rob Fire. What can go wrong? I'm going to do a practice run through. If you go wrong, it's all absolutely fine. We'll just stop filming and we'll try again. Right, okay, fine. So great. Rob came up with Harley. I started introducing him. I introduced it as Bring Your Dog to Work Day. And it should have been Make Your Dog Happy Day. So Gareth interrupted me. I got a fit of the giggles, understanding that we weren't live, and my nervous giggle basically sounds like Beavis and Butthead, if anyone's watched that. So, at this point, I looked up and Gareth's like, it's still rolling. Oh, okay, right, compose myself. Thank goodness I managed to put it back in. I did the rest of the interview fine with Rob, but my apologies, Rob. That was, yes, that was quite bad.
Oh, guys, if you want to see the video, I'll share it in the BiZHUB members
Gareth.
group.
Thank you very much for that. Great, he gets his second laugh at me. Never trust this man.
No, yeah, he's got all the goods on us all.
Absolutely.
Forget his video. Okay, Louise, back to you. So tell us about something you struggled with early in your career and how you overcame it.
On this one, I've gone right back to my first full-time role, where I was a secretary in the late 80s in a very male-dominant environment. And back in those days, the big management would sit in boardrooms and expect to be served, etc. It's different in this day and age. But in those day and age, they just sort of sat and people came to them to do things. So one of my first roles was to go into the boardroom and take the teas and coffees order. That was the first thing that I was instructed to do. So I've gone in and I've gone, morning, quite nervous. I was quite young, quite nervous. Can I have your teas and coffees order? And I went around the room and took all the tea, coffees order of everybody and walked out and had totally forgotten what everybody ordered. I just had no idea. Hadn't written it down, didn't know. Had to go in for a second time and do it again. And again, I just couldn't get it right. I literally didn't even cross my mind to take a notepad or anything. I just thought I could wing it. Well, clearly I couldn't. So that went on for a while of the meetings that they held. And eventually I just came up with a solution, which was revolutionary in the 80s, of help yourself to teas and coffees. So I set up a teas and coffee station in the boardroom every morning and said, help yourself, of which they weren't used to it. And it took time for them to sort of get used to it. It started out, I had to make the teas and coffees in the room and give it to them. But eventually it evolved in that they were like, okay, we'll make our own teas and coffees. So to be fair, help yourself, guys, And so I kind of revolutionized the way that everybody was serving teas and coffees, purely on the fact because I just couldn't remember what everybody wanted.
Fair enough, yeah. DIY, brilliant.
Yeah.
Claire, what about you? Tell us about something you struggled with early on in your career and how you overcame it.
So my first job early on in my career was vet nursing, and quite a large part of vet nursing is also doing reception. So I had a real fear of answering the telephone. Crazy now, seeing that I went down the whole reception route, which I absolutely love, but completely was terrified of answering the telephone for whatever reason. But bearing in mind, people are phoning up for advice on their animals, not just to book appointments. And of course, I had no experience. So I used to hide in the toilet, basically, is what I used to do. So, so to the point that staff started saying, Claire in the toilet again, is she okay? So I was like, I really need to just overcome this and embrace it. So as with anything, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So but yeah, I sometimes do think back to that, because obviously a large amount of my career has been heavily involved in reception, so it always makes me laugh at how terrified I was in the early days of,
I thought you were going to say a large part of your career you've been spent in the toilet, but
that too. Definitely that too. So yeah, but yeah, I think with anything, confidence comes with age, so as well, doesn't it? But yeah, so that was my big thing.
Yeah, confidence and a weak bladder.
Yeah, absolutely. Still got that.
So we'll move along. We'll sweep down to the carpet.
We've just had a question come in, so I thought we would pose an impromptu question to you guys.
Ooh, wow.
Ooh,
so Alana has just asked, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self about life and business?
Good question.
Who's going to be the first to answer? Lou?
Yeah.
I'll answer first. Knowing what I know now, I think that we stress over the small things too much, and you fret over things too much. You don't, looking at the longer game, those small little things don't matter as much. And before you start, like, I don't know, thinking along the lines of, I've got to make it absolutely amazing before I do it, you don't. Just get started, just go with it and go with your gut instinct. I think that's what I would say.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I would say confidence. I think your confidence comes with age, but I think when you're younger, well, for me, definitely, I kind of doubted everything. So looking back now, a bit like Lou, I just say, just go with it. Just, learn to roll with it. Don't stress, again, over the little things and worry that what you're doing isn't good enough. So, yeah, I think a confidence thing from my side, really.
Yes. Yeah. Now, if you want to hear the answers to these questions from the other team members, myself included, Gareth, Gary and Emma, we've videoed our answers earlier in the week, and they will be released as standalone videos. We're going to put them in the members area, Gareth.
Yes.
Yeah. So you will see the answers that we give later next week. So yeah, we didn't get away We can get away with this. We all got a grilling. So here's one. There's going to be a lot of people at the moment who are going to step up and make a difference to a lot of people's lives. So describe a time in the past where you were the hero of the story. It can just be a moment that you were proud of.
Nobody likes to think of themselves as a hero, to be honest, but I think along the lines of, I was planning a wedding for somebody. It was quite a big wedding up at Farnham Castle, actually. And a few days before the wedding was to go ahead, the florist pulled out, just pulled out completely. Just, there was an issue, pulled out. And the bride was like, well, I've got this specific thing that I want. We phoned around various florists first, couldn't find anybody, too late notice. So got in my car, went up to Covent Garden, bought loads of flowers, lights, twigs, all sorts of things. She had quite a big wedding thing going on. And I did all the flowers, which I've never done. I've done some flower arranging, but not to that extent, with woven lights and twigs and everything all in. And I was like, oh God, Googling away, Pinterest, trying to do whatever I could, wrapping it around. I pulled it out of the bag, to be honest, and the flowers looked amazing, if I say so myself. And it went ahead without a hitch. So yeah, I think for that wedding, I was probably the hero.
Wow, fantastic. Claire, what about yourself? A moment that you were giving yourself a pat on the back saying, well done, Claire.
I don't necessarily know if there's a moment. I don't actually think I'm ever the hero. I think I'm normally the one being rescued, to be fair.
Oh. Don't hide your light every day at Signal.
Oh, thanks. I think the only thing I could think about, and again, it goes back to my vet nursing days, I was probably a hero to quite a few animals, obviously, I would imagine, but there was one story in particular. It was a local pet shop that came in to have a rabbit, a baby rabbit, 6 weeks old, had diarrhea. They wanted it put to sleep, basically. So I decided, against regulations, that I would not put the rabbit to sleep. So I hid him in the back of the kennels, and I treated him for his diarrhea, and all on the sly. No one was allowed to know. It was top secret, because legally, obviously, you were meant to put him to sleep, unfortunately. So I took him home. I kept him for about 6 weeks, and then rehomed him with one of the vet sisters who lived in a flat. She desperately wanted a pet. He made the ideal indoor pet, because obviously he'd become my baby through the 6 weeks. He was litter trained, very clean. So she homed him, and about a year later I was looking after him. I was actually staying in the nurse's flat, so I had the rabbit there. And she was at a wedding, and also her dog, she had a Jack Russell. So they were both running around playing with each other because they had a great bond. I was talking to the other nurses, and it suddenly went very quiet. And the dog came out from behind the sofa looking very sheepish, went to check on the rabbit. I can only assume that having like a play fight, he'd accidentally suffocated the rabbit. So rabbit was lying lifeless on the floor. Angus the Angora rabbit he was. So I scooped him up, literally ran downstairs, got him straight onto oxygen, like massaged his chest. He sprang back to life. So I saved his life twice. What a lucky rabbit.
Yay!
It's definitely his hero. He went on to live a happy, long, fulfilled life. So yeah, that's the one that sticks in my head.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. I thought that was going to have a tragic ending, but it didn't.
I don't do tragic endings. She always happy endings.
Came back strong. Brilliant. Yes, as Sheila says, you're a Dr. Dolittle.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sheila. I love it.
So, what did you want to do, Claire? We'll stay with you. What did you want to do when you grew up?
Well, you could probably gather from my vet nurse, I wanted to be a vet. From the moment I could talk, I wanted to work with animals. It was always going to be a vet, until I found out how difficult that was. And I had to do so much studying and training. And I was like, oh gosh, 6 or 7 years. No, I can't do that. So then I obviously made the decision, okay, vet nurse, I'll settle for vet nurse. And I did it for 10 years and it was amazing. So that's what I ended up doing. But yeah, vet was always the thing I wanted to do originally.
Fantastic. Louise, what about you? What did you want to do when you grew up?
Oh, when I grow up. Oh, still waiting for that. Still waiting for that. To be honest, when I was really young, I wanted to be an actress. I just thought it would be amazing to be on the stage. I was very, very involved in amateur dramatics and at school and everything, and I just wanted to be on the stage. Yeah, I sort of drew away from that when I realised it's quite tough to get gigs. You have to work quite hard. You have to interview a lot. You have to audition a lot. Yeah, I gave up on that, unfortunately. But who knows? You never know in the future. I may get back to it. I don't know.
I had a similar ambition. I had a similar ambition and gave up when I realised how little money most actors make.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so moving along to the present day. Louise, what gets you excited about getting up on a Monday morning?
Because I really love people and I love to be with people most of the time. That is my favourite thing to do, is mix and mingle with people. Working at Signal, and I have to be honest here, is just brilliant, because every morning you get up and you go and you're going to meet so many different people from all kinds of businesses across so many different sectors. You just never know who you're going to meet, and it's so interesting. I love engaging with people, so it really inspires me every morning to get up, and I've never had a day that I haven't wanted to go into Signal, which is incredible, really. And it's thanks to our amazing community that we've got. Everybody comes in, you know, sometimes people have got problems, sometimes they're just celebrating, whatever it is, but there's always somebody to engage and talk to and share thoughts and ideas with. So I love that, and that's what inspires me to get up in the morning.
I was up at 5:30 this morning because I was so excited about the hub online.
I know, right?
It's just incredible. I was literally singing at 6 o'clock, and my wife said to me, "Could you keep it down a bit? We're trying to sleep." Oops, excited.
We've just had a couple of questions come in. So one of them from Sarah Bass. And she just says, what are your plans to stay motivated over the coming week?
Oh, good question. Good question, Sarah. So what is going to motivate you, Louise, over the coming weeks?
This what we're doing now, because we're going to be indoors, but I've been at home since Tuesday, and literally I just don't feel like I haven't seen anybody because we're doing this. So I've always shied away from technology and things like that, but to be honest, this is going to keep me motivated, getting excited, knowing I'm going to chat to people. We're doing the team chats every morning on Teams, and we're all in the room, and I feel like I'm almost seeing you more now than I did before, because we're just, you know, we're constantly, so that is what's going to keep you motivated, showing how we can we've got such an amazing community, and showing how we can really keep this community together, because we all need each other. And I think by doing the things that we've got planned going forward for this time of potential lockdown, I'm inspired by the fact that we're all going to be in it together and be together as a community. So yeah, that's what's going to keep me going.
Yeah, I'm absolutely the same. Just having the ability to connect with people. If you don't have a webcam, I know it's people who are watching this probably do have a webcam, probably do have a laptop with a webcam in it, but get to grips with those skills. Learn how to use video chat, Zoom, FaceTime, whatever you need to do, but reach out and stay connected and get over this kind of, oh, I don't like myself on video.
Over it.
Just get over it. Yeah. So Claire, what about you? What's going to keep you motivated through this?
Exactly what Louise said, to be honest. And yeah, like she said, we're seeing as much of each other, or if not more, and just really wanting to help our community. So that's what keeps me inspired. The team keeps me inspired, and just what we're doing. So yeah, pretty much what Lou said, really.
Fantastic. Thank you. Was that Alana that asked that question?
Sarah Bass.
Sarah Bass. Thank you, Sarah. Sorry, I saw Alana's name pop up in the chat box there. Okay, so we didn't ask Claire the same question about what gets you excited about getting up on a Monday morning, and I guess you're going to say the same as Louise.
I am, but I have to confess, I do sometimes wake up and think, oh, Mozzo coffee. I can't wait for my Mozzo coffee, because sometimes I walk through the door And as much as I moaned about Gareth, you know, setting me up for falls, he does normally have a coffee waiting for me, or it's, you know, he's got the machine going, walk through the door and I smell the coffee. So yeah, I do sometimes wake up and think, oh, mosaic coffee, yum. But no, on a serious note, seeing the team, just, yeah, what we're doing, just that's what gets me up. It's what we're doing. I truly believe in what we're doing, and just I think everyone that is involved, you know, whether it be the team or our community, I just think everyone's amazing, and everyone's got that can-do attitudes and wants to help each other, and I just think that's fantastic. I've never worked in a place like it, so yeah, love it.
Absolutely. Given that this current situation, especially for the team, has been quite busy, and is going to throw up quite a few challenges with time management. Louise, how do you manage your time and your priorities? Do you give us any tips that you can about how to keep on top of what it seems like an ever-growing list of to-do?
Yeah, I'm a list person by nature. Everything I do is in a list. I've always been like that. And I worked for a magician once. Yes, I was a magician's assistant. Ooh, here and here. But, and he was amazing at prioritizing lists. So he taught me the skill of, in your list, you do categories sort of A to D. A being really important and D not quite so important, going down the scale. And then also, in addition to that, numbers 1 to 5. Whenever you get a task, you just add your letter and your number and put it into the relevant list. I know it sounds quite convoluted, but if you've got a huge list, it's a really good way of just sorting it out. So I use that system, A to D, 1 to 5, and whenever I get a task, I know in my head, that's an A, nah, that's going to be a B, and it'll be a 5, and then by that, you've got your lists ready sorted. So that's the kind of list that I use. And then I also use Outlook as prioritizing and allocating time for various tasks. So I go into Outlook, I allocate some time, and I put those specific tasks into Outlook. And yeah, I don't always get to them every day. Sometimes, you know, your things are out of your control. But the mere fact of moving a task in Outlook from one day to another, you do that twice, eventually you think, you know what, I'm just going to get on with that. I'm just going to do it. I'm not moving it again. And you sit down and you literally just get on with it. So I think in these times that we've got now, the hours will be just sort of these ending hours ahead, and our schedules are going to be completely skewed and whatever. So I would recommend that people really allocate time in their diary so that they get on with some tasks, these back-burning jobs that we often don't get used to, you know, get to do. And I think it's a really important way of, you know, disciplining yourself to get on with your to-do list and your tasks.
Fabulous, fabulous advice. Claire, you are at the front line, so, you know, juggling priorities must be second nature to you. Any tips or hints on how you handle those priorities?
Yeah, it's easy to feel very overwhelmed when you've got a lot to, especially when you're torn into different areas of your job. So for me, whenever I feel that feeling of being overwhelmed, I tend to take 5 minutes just to rewrite my list, and I'll make a list of everything that I feel is the most important things for that day. And add a few on if I think, you know, it'd be great to get that done as well. And then I literally look through it and I number it. So very similar to Lou, I'll number it 1 to 10 or 1 to 20, depending how many tasks are on there. And I literally think, do not look at anything else. You go to number 1, concentrate on that, tick it off, go to number 2. And it's amazing just having that, how it just calms you and it focuses you, because all the time you're just looking at a list going, oh, I'll start on that. Oh, no, I'll do this one. So just numbering it, that's what helps for me. So yeah, just numbering it and working your way through methodically. And if you don't get to the end of the list, okay, but you've done the most important things. So with each one, you feel a slight sense of relief. Yeah, that's kind of what works for me, really. A list are very much like Lou, as you can tell, we work in similar ways.
We do. Can I just say that Claire and I, on our lists at Signal, we work really closely together with our lists, and often we'll sit down and say, right, come on, what have you got? And when you sit down with a team member and just say, right, what have you got? You can easily say, nah, I'm doing that today, and you can easily fly through your list. And Claire and I try and do that at least once a week, just to give ourselves a little bit of okay, don't be daunted by all these things. We can easily get through it. So yeah, it does help sometimes if you have a team member to work together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And having worked with you, you're both excellent at making problems disappear.
I'm a magician's assistant, Stu.
Exactly. So here's one that's maybe a little more frivolous, but nevertheless, we'll give it a go. It's a co-worker's birthday coming up, Louise. And how do you go about picking out the perfect gift for them?
Well, Stu, this is a difficult question, to be fair, because at Signal, we don't buy each other gifts. We do a lovely card for people's birthdays, and we just all write lovely messages, and that's what we do. We do at Christmas, we did the Secret Santa, which is brilliant. So we do an electronic Secret Santa. It's a really good way of doing a gift under a certain amount of money, and you send it out. As far as I've worked in lots and lots of companies over the years, and the co-worker's birthday, your co-worker's birthday is often a bone of contention, if I'm honest, because everybody's expected to give a tenner in and tenner and tenner, and everybody's giving £10 for somebody's birthday. You all buy them a lovely gift, and then they leave, and then you're like, oh, they've gone now, and they've got a gift, and there's all of that. So I'm not saying that happens in our team, but I'm saying. All right, Gareth. And I'm just saying, sometimes you've got to be mindful of who's in the team and whether or not we should all contribute a joint gift or whatever. So personally, I've never been a fan of buying my co-workers gifts for birthdays for those very reasons. It's very difficult as well. I mean, if I had to do it, I would say vouchers, because it's just the easiest way to do it. But I do like to buy people gifts just for random gifts. But,
remain professional and aloof, and treat your co-workers equally.
That's what I'm saying, Stu.
Fair enough. Claire, how would you go about picking the perfect gift for a co-worker?
If we were to do gifts for each other, I had to think on this, and I was like, I think it's just go for people's weaknesses. So pretty much with the whole, for the whole of the Signal team, I would say that's pretty much narrows down into two categories, and that would be chocolate or alcohol. So sorted.
There we go. Fabulous. Heard it here first, folks.
We've just had we've got another question.
Yes.
So this is from Lisa Walner. So this is directed at Lou, actually, and it says, Lou, are you looking to stay on top of the video war ratings?
Oh, yes. 100%. I'm going to have a bit more time now, Lisa, so don't you worry. I'm thinking of all sorts of things. And definitely watch our Facebook Lives next week, because we're going into full action. So everybody,
competition is on.
You can only find out if you're a member of the Facebook group, though. So you've got to be in it to win it. Yeah, absolutely. Claire, are you planning on any video antics to put you at the top of the leaderboard?
Well, I'm not sure. I've been put for Thursdays. My day is going to be Thursdays, which is Throwback Thursday. So I've got to come up with some amazing ideas, because I need to knock Lou off of the winning spot, don't I? But I'm not sure what yet. It's secret for now.
Nice hunt, by the way. If anybody's interested, I'm on Wednesday.
No, so there'll be no live video on a Wednesday. Sorry, the video doesn't work on a Wednesday. Friday is the day. Friday. Look at Friday.
No. But that was very good, Claire. A nice subtle plug, which didn't fly under Lou's radar at all.
Not at all.
Can but try.
That's fantastic. Excellent. So yeah, Stu, all you've got to do is think about Tuesday, because it's Tuesday on Tuesday.
Okay, next question.
Moving on.
Okay, well, we've got a question from Shayna, who's asked us about how do you it's important to stay positive and do as much possible to rise above the collective anxiety. I quite agree. Sean has realised that she's the calm, steadying presence for staff and customers. So what do you do, Claire, to look after yourself and stay calm?
I do look after myself. I guess just it's really hard, but just I try and find the humor. I'm not saying there's any humor in coronavirus, obviously, but just to try and stay positive. I just try and find the humor in the little snippets of things. You know, like us this morning trying to set this up this morning, and all the WhatsApp messages going backwards and forwards. And I can see this on my screen. Is this right? Have I used the right link? And you know, I just see the humor in that because the messages were just like ping, 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 ping. I literally popped the loo, you know, me and the loo, and popped back. I'd been gone like 1 minute, and I was like, oh my God, I've missed so much. So just finding the little funny things is really the best thing, I think. The best thing you can do.
And what are you doing to stay calm, Louise?
So I've started a new thing since Tuesday, since I've been at home. I'm not ill, by the way. I've just been at home. And I started breathing. So I put on the tinky tinky music, and I've been lying down and just literally breathing for 10 minutes every morning, which is something that I've never really done before. But I've just started doing that. And do you know what? It really helps. It really, really helps. It's just, you know, because we get so busy and everything, and we do start work quite early because we're all passing messages and things. To breathe first thing in the morning it's just really helps. So I would recommend that if anybody is looking for something to do.
Fantastic. Gareth, what about you? What do you do to stay calm?
Gosh, I don't know. I think anyone at the Signal team will believe this, that when I get frantic, I look like one of like the Muppet people running around. You can just imagine the whole like music as I'm running around trying to get things sorted. So I think generally what I do to stay calm is I just take myself away from whatever situation it is, find myself a quiet, dark corner just to hide away in, and until then I can, you know, normalise.
Pull the duvet up and wait for it all to blow over. Yeah, absolutely. Well, seeing as we're talking about the current situation, I want to look into our crystal ball and project forward into the future. And Lou, you've kind of already started this, but what do you think is going to be your biggest self-isolation challenge?
I thought about this long and hard, and I've got two things, if I may.
Yeah.
First thing is my roots. I'm just not sure what colour my hair is actually in real life. You know, I know it seems really, you know, yes, not great.
Self-image is very important.
It's just, yeah, just not sure. But anyway, the longer we are in isolation, you will all become aware of what colour my hair actually is. So there we go. That's one thing. As I said before, people is really key to what my life is really. I'm always very involved in the community and in people and that, but we are solving this hopefully by what we're doing now. And on a more personal level, my young son has gone to New Zealand. He's only been gone 4 weeks.
Oh.
And he's over there, and we've been toying, do I bring him back? No, because, you know, in this time of need, you just want to hunker down and have your family and just, you know, all be under one roof, like where you can all look after each other. And he's not here. There are talks now that, you know, for possibly 6 months, you won't be able to fly into New Zealand and Australia. So I'm not sure. So that is really playing quite heavily on my mind. Obviously, we've got, you know, we've got Skype, we've got all sorts of means to talk to him. It's not the same though, I have to say. So I'm sure he'll be safe. I'm sure he'll be fine. But yeah, that is really the most difficult challenge for me, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping our nearest and dearest closest to us.
Yeah.
What is going to be your biggest challenge?
I think we might go back to the Moslow coffee here.
Moving swiftly on, yes, okay.
And Beer Friday. No.
Beer Friday, yeah. Well, every day can be Beer Friday.
On a serious note, yeah, again, similar to what Lou said, I'm the same boat everybody's in, just you're not seeing loved ones. Hugging for me, I mean, obviously I live with my husband, I still get hugs, it's fine, but you know, I've got a friend that's going through a hard time, and just not being able to just knock on her door and give her a hug. It's just that contact and just seeing people. I mean, yeah, everyone's going to struggle. I know I did speak to somebody who called yesterday who said, no, it suits me, I'm not so sure. But for most people, they miss the contact, and definitely for me, I'm a big hugger, as I know Lou is, and definitely missing the hugs.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It is tough when you see people and you just want to give them a hug.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right, so thinking about Signal, specifically about Signal, Louise, how do you see Signal developing and growing in the future? What would you like to see? How would you like to see it grow?
So from the day that I joined Signal, which is almost coming up to 2 years ago, the vision that Emma had was so clear and was so passionate that it was so infectious. There was just no way that you couldn't jump on board with it.
Yeah.
And as it's grown and as I've been there for the last 2 years, what we've managed to do in 2 years by building this magnificent business community is just incredible, really. And if I'm honest, and last night Gareth posted a short video on our internal group of him closing down the building. I got really emotional, I have to say. I got really emotional about it. So then I put YouTube on my TV and I watched some videos, you know, the videos that we've put out, you know, the 2 years, we've put out various videos sort of encapsulated. And the tears were streaming, not because I'm feeling that it's just the fact that we're going to miss that sort of, you know, that sort of community that we've built there, which is why I'm so pleased that we've managed to bring it online and keep it going, that community. And going forward, I think if we can achieve what we've done in the last 2 years, to take it to the next level and doubling, tripling that community, it would just be amazing. And that's where I really see it is. We are now the go-to people for many, many, not only businesses, but, you know, small businesses, but from, you know, just a signposting, pointing people in the right direction. What do you think, Signal? You've got a big community here. What do you think? How do you see this happening? Do you know anything? And if we don't know, we find out and then we let people know. So I think we're going to be the absolute hub of the new town centre when we move into the new town centre, the absolute hub of the whole community. And that's where I really would like Signal to be.
Absolutely, that being a part of a community of like-minded people, I talk about it in Jumpstart January, it's just critical. It really is. You know, the banner says it all. You can't build a business, or you can't quite see it, but no one should build a business on their own, and you can't. And having people that you can talk to and share your problems with, your anxieties, just ask questions of, it makes all the difference. So I totally agree with everything you've said. Yeah, absolutely. Claire, what about you? How do you see Signal growing and expanding?
Yeah, exactly what Lou said, really. I mean, she summed it up, but really, to cut it short, is just for Signal to be part of making Borden the best place to have a business in the UK. That's how I see it develop. I think as a team, that's what we're all pushing for. That's what we all truly want Signal to become. So, you know, we help so many businesses, and we just continue to help more businesses, no matter what life throws at us, you know, like the situation we're in here. So just, just that it just keeps continuing to grow.
And that's one of the reasons we're putting up the /newsflash page is we want to share as much information with the business community as possible. So if you are looking at the page and you think that somebody should be reading it, please forward it on. Please introduce people to us who you think we can help, because whilst we're dedicated to helping our members and our residents and the people who are effectively our customers, if there's something we can do to help somebody else's journey in business be a little bit easier with a piece of content that we maybe can get to them, or a person that we can connect them with, please, 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 during this time, put them in touch with us, because we will do our best to help as many people as we possibly can. This is about coming out of this in as positive a way as we possibly can. And I know from the discussions that we've had individually and around the table when we were doing our planning meeting, that we've all got clarity of vision on that one single purpose. So do get in touch, do tell people about us, do share the information, and do read it and use it and interact with it and ask us stuff. We can only do what we do because of you guys. So it's really important.
Can I just put in, we've just had some comments I think I would like to share out to people.
Yes, do it.
So Sheila Lemon has said, you will do this. Signal was already outstanding and being so innovative. You're going to stand out from the crowd. I'm so glad to be a part of this community.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Sheila.
And Sarah Bass has also said, keeping our Signal community strong until we can all come together is so vital. Your passion and vision is so powerful and essential.
Oh, thanks, Sarah.
Nice words. Thank you, Sarah.
Really good.
Excellent. Okay. So seeing that Signal has this vision, that Emma has this vision, and we're all bought into the vision and share a common purpose. How do you see that affecting Whitehill and Borden, Louise? How do you think that Whitehill and Borden will grow?
So we are very closely connected to the regeneration, Whitehill and Borden regeneration, and their vision is really strong as well. And we work sort of really closely with them and in delivering their vision. And to be honest, the proof's in the pudding, what they've done so far already. The change in the area is incredible, what they've done. Bringing new people into the area, bringing new businesses into the area. They're always looking for new business opportunities and working closely with us to take from our business community. So I think, you know, it's a fabulous place to live, work and play. The surroundings are beautiful, beautiful surroundings. But to be honest, I live just in Recordshire, which is not a million miles away. And I'd never really been to Borden very much until I started working there 2 years ago. Now, to be honest, I do everything in Borden. You know, I walk in Borden. I go around the natural beauty that surrounds there, which they are upholding in the development with the regeneration and making it a part of the you know, of the development. So I think it's going to go from strength to strength. I think the community that we've got so far in Borden has been fantastic, and that will only develop and get better the more people that come in, because the ethos that we're creating in our community is a great ethos. And when people join, like-minded people will join and become a part of that. So Whitehill and Borden, the facilities that they are going to be introducing are going to be second to none, and we're all going to benefit and be a part of it. So I'm really excited about what's going to come next at Whitehill and Borden and how it's going to grow. I really am.
I think that it's easy to sit on the sidelines and point out all of the things that you think aren't happening. But when you consider they have such a long timeline that they're delivering this over, so if something doesn't happen for a few months, it's nothing.
Yeah.
But what they have is a grand vision. And I think that what we've got at Signal ties into it so intimately, because, and I've said this so many times, your local community and your local economy is so important. And we know this, we see it with the high street dying off and problems in that sector. But it wouldn't if we all engaged with our business community and realised that the money that we spend gets recycled in the local community and is vital to make a vibrant and living place to live. So
I think this is going to be something that is going to be positive coming out of what we're about to go into. It's really going to retrain us all how local community is really, really important. You can see it on all the chats that are going on at the moment. People offering help, people offering to give strangers toilet rolls. I saw the other day on one of the group chats. I mean, it's just unheard of, you know. So it's really going to bring it back. And I think as part of Signal, I think we really need to embrace this and show people that local community and local business community is so important. And we're definitely going to be delivering that message over the next few months and reinforcing our vision of a local supported business community, because it's vital, I think.
Yeah. Claire, like me, you kind of live in Borden or live very, very close to it. How do you see it growing? How do you see the Borden's and Whitehill's future?
I just see everything becoming better. I mean, I've lived in Whitehill for just on the border between Whitehill and Borden. I am. The other side of the road is Borden. I've lived here for coming up 18 years, and when I first moved here, there was nothing. We had, I think we had a Summerfield, was it called? I can't even think what it's called. But there was hardly anything in Borden. You had to travel out of Borden for pretty much everything. So for everything that's coming in now, I think it's going to be amazing. Everything will just continue to grow. And as Lou said, they're keeping the green spaces, which is great. There's some lovely walks all around Borden and Whitehill. The new town centre will be amazing. Just having cafes to go to and bars. Who would have thought it 18 years ago? I would never have thought that would happen in Borden, but it's happening, and I think it's going to be amazing.
I think a key piece of the puzzle has fallen into place with Longmoor becoming a film studio. Why shouldn't Whitehill and Borden be on the map? I mean, you have to start somewhere. Elstree started somewhere. Pinewood, Hollywood, they all started as people who were creative and had a vision. Why not Borden? Why not Whitehill? Why not have that kind of community, a very creative, vibrant community locally? I absolutely, when I moved here 10 years ago, couldn't see it being anything more than an army town. No. And look at it now. Look at it now. Just even in the time that the Whitehill and Borden Regeneration Company have had, what they have achieved is absolutely incredible. And I just, I applaud any effort to make a positive community. So, well done to everyone involved in that. We're coming up to the end. I'm going to stop in a couple of minutes, but we're going to go into a workbook session from last week. There was a workbook on ideal customer. I delivered that, and we skipped through the first section of the workbook. So our second session will be going through that workbook in a little more detail, covering the talk again, but not going through the talk again, just covering the points and answering any questions. So Gareth and I will be here for that. Louise and Claire are busy changing the world and doing stuff. There's a long to-do list, I know. So before we go, I'll ask you a couple of questions and then maybe get Gareth, I'll ask you both a question and get Gareth to read out any comments that may still be lurking in the chat box. So, given that the situation is what it is, and we're all positive people, we're all trying to remain upbeat and as focused on our mission as we can. Louise, what do you do to lift your spirits?
Prosecco, then dancing in my kitchen.
Boom! That's the recipe. Prosecco and dancing in the kitchen. Claire, what do you do?
Drink the spirits, probably.
You lift them, you tilt your hand.
I do this. With Jack Daniel's honey works very well.
Okay, enough said. You refer us earlier to the question about alcohol and chocolate. We know which one you prefer. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, just to live for spirits. Yeah, just again find the humour, do something silly to make someone laugh, and you make other people laugh. It makes you happy, so it has a knock-on effect. So yeah, just
Gareth, what do you do to lift your spirits?
Well, I'm not going to say drink alcohol.
You're the chocolate one.
People start to think what issues. What do I do to lift my spirits? I like to see friends. So obviously that's a bit difficult. I'd probably say I like to chill. I maybe just put a movie on in the background. Just kind of switch off. Not actually watch the movie, but just kind of switch off and stare blankly at the screen. That kind of thing. I think that's quite good. And being outside. Any chance I can get to run outside.
Yeah, I said to my wife, if we go into lockdown, I'm glad we've got a garden. But I still might sneak out at 1 o'clock in the morning and just walk around the block, get a bit of exercise. Well, thank you very much, Claire, Louise. Can we give them a virtual round of applause with a clap or whatever you want, a cheer or whatever? I've just realised that we look a bit like the Brady Bunch with our,
Yeah, we do.
But thank you so much. Have we got any messages in the chat box, Gareth, that we should know about?
A lot of people basically saying there seems to be a theme here, by the way.
There is.
A lot of thank yous, a lot of whoops. So yeah, no, apart from that, you know, so a couple of people have said that you two are ladies after their own heart. I won't name names, but you know who you are.
Fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Thanks to our panelists. There will be more videos, one from Emma, one from Gareth, one from Gary, and one from yours truly, that will be released next week. With a few more and difficult questions, but a fun time was had, and you'll get to know us all a little bit more, I'm sure, over the course of the coming weeks. So with that, ladies, you're released. You can switch off your videos and you can go and relax and maybe lift your spirits.
A bit early for me, if I'm honest.
It's not 11 o'clock yet.
It's Friday, so it's Beer Friday at 3 o'clock.
Oh, can I just say thank you to everybody for watching. I've really enjoyed it, actually. I was really quite nervous. I've shied away from social media quite a lot. It's one of my big wins that I've managed to embrace social media. So it's not as difficult what it's looked. So when we look to some of our members to come and do the member spotlight, you're going to be up. So yeah, it's not as scary as what I thought it was going to be. So I've really enjoyed it. Thank you. And thank you for everybody for watching and taking the time.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Absolutely.
All good.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to take a short break. We're going to take a little 10-minute break to recharge, comfort break, maybe make a cup of tea or coffee. And we will be back here at 10:50 with the workbook session from last week, but going into it in more depth. And don't forget, if you are leaving us now, we'll be back next week with the Members Mastermind. So do please register for that if you haven't, if there are spaces left. I think there are some spaces left in the afternoon one.
Yeah.
But do check your Eventbrite for that. And thank you very much for joining us. You'll be seeing a lot more of us. You might get fed up with me recycling my suits as well. You might see all of them in a very short space of time. But with that, I will let you go and make yourself a cup of tea or a coffee, and we will see you back in about 10 minutes. See you soon.
See you soon.
Stay online, guys. Stay online.
Stay online.
Stay online, yeah.
I'll put some music on again for you. Alexa, skip. Alexa, play UK Top 40.
Play BiZHUB Singles Chart Music on Amazon Music. If you don't wanna see crazy, thinking about the way I was with the heartbreak, baby, but look at where I ended up. I'm all good already, so moved on. It's scary. I'm not where you left me at all. So if you don't wanna see me dancing with somebody, if you won't believe it, it's don't show up, don't come out, don't stop caring about me now. Walk away, you know how. Don't stop caring about me now. Aren't you the guy who tried to hurt me with the word goodbye? Though it took some time to survive you, I'm better on the other side. I'm all good already, so moved on. It's scary. I'm not where you left me at all. So if you don't wanna see me dancing with somebody, Don't show up, don't come out, don't stop caring about me now. Go away, you know how. Don't stop caring about me now. I'm not where you left me at all. So if you don't wanna see me, if you with somebody, if you wanna believe that anything could stop me, don't come down, stop caring about me now. You know how, stop caring about me now. I should know I'd leave alone. Just goes to show that the blood you bleed is just the blood you know. We were a pair, but I saw you there. Too much to bear. You were my life, but life is far away from fair. Was I stupid to love you? Was I reckless to love? Was it obvious to everybody else that I've fallen for a lie? You were never on my side. Fool me twice. Are you dead of paradise? Now you never see me cry. There's just no time to die. You're no longer my concern. Faces from my past return. Did I fall you will just no time to die. You were the one who said it's over. Now you wanna come back. So take your hand off my shoulder. This time it's not like that, 'cause I know where your heart's at. I know you like to be alone, you hate being lonely. When you see me doing well, that's when you call me. I'm doing fine, don't need you in my life like this. You make me just because you're lonely doesn't mean we go back to the start. Just because you're lonely don't mean that you can play with my heart. Who do you think you are? Just because you're lonely doesn't mean we go back to the start. Just because you're lonely don't mean that you can play with my heart. Who do you think you are? You say you changed and you're different, but I don't wanna hear that. Your friends are saying that you miss me, but I already know that, 'cause I know where your heart's at. I know you like to be alone.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. We are back. We are back. We are back with a workbook session. Just going to get that up now. There we go. So thank you for all your kind comments and your participation. It was lovely to interview Louise and Claire. And as I say, there'll be more content about the team members, but we'll also be working on more content about business and the current situation. So please bookmark that, signalborden.org/newsflash, and keep up to date. Right, so last week I did a talk called Ideal Customers, Who Are They? And it prompted some questions from Hub members, and I wanted to go through this workbook in a little more depth. So for this session, I'm going to start at the beginning. I'm going to assume that you understand why knowing your ideal customers and having your ideal customer profile is important. That's kind of what we covered in the talk. The workbook was for you to discover, uncover, and reveal your ideal customers. And hopefully some of you may have gone away and started this process. If you have, if you've got any questions, if there's anything that's not explained well, Gareth is on hand to interrupt me and make sure that I answer the questions. So without any further ado, we're going to get on with the ideal customers. So there is a process to this about working through it, and you might start and go back to the beginning and work through it a bit more. And as you get through it, you might have other ideas that help you to unpack it. So don't feel like you have to work through it from A to B to C to D all the way through, and that's how you do it. You might hop around a bit. You might work through it once, go back to it, put it down, come back to it. Always think about refining it. And as soon as you find out about your customers, something about your customers which can help you sell more, or explain to them what you do for them, and they need a key piece of information, and do put that into your profile. So the first thing to look at is if you're going to build this sustainable pipeline of suitable prospects, is you've got to understand the business terms that I'm going to use. So the marketplace is everyone your business could potentially sell to. That's everyone on the entire timeline, whether they need it now or not. But the marketplace. Leads, these are people who are in the marketplace and are currently looking to buy, and they may know of your business. And a prospect is someone who knows your business and has shown some interest in it. Now that may be that you've dropped a cookie on their website, from your website on their machine, and you're retargeting them with ads, or they've actually picked up the phone and made an inquiry. I would suggest that you think of the people that, as they move through this, their profile might change. You know, somebody who is a lead might not be able to become a prospect until certain things have taken place. So do think about that, and this book covers that particular aspect. So the first thing you want to do is do some market research. Okay, you should always be doing market research. You should always be thinking about your customers and what their needs are, and thinking about ways that you can generate content and information that's going to not only reveal to you who those target customers are, but also give them something interesting to engage with. So you might think about something like a survey or an interview. Now, these don't have to be difficult. These can be actually quite straightforward, and you might decide that your website is the best place to do that. And you might end up with a load of information about your target audience that can really inform how you market your business. And it might even give you some prospects or leads. So surveys and interviews, they don't have to be difficult. They don't have to be in depth. In fact, they can be quite humorous and quite fun. And in fact, the more fun they are, the more viral potential they have, because if somebody's had fun with something, what do? They want to share it. So really think about how you can use surveys and interviews to tease out information from your target audiences to give you the best chance of finding out what is really motivating them. We did this on a customer's website. They were a security company. They put funding in place for property developers up to £50 million projects, so quite large projects. And they had a process of onboarding the customer. And in that process, they worked out whether or not they could fund a project. So we took that process, those questions, and we put it online. And at the end of it, the property property developer could understand whether or not their project was going to be funded. What a fantastic tool. Not only did it help the property developer because they could understand how, you know, the questions that the finance guys would be asking, but the finance guys could understand at what stage that development was and could phone up and say to them, we can help you move from not being able to be funded to being funded. So don't think that it has to all be just uncovering nuggets of information. It might be just a useful tool for your ideal customer or your target customer. So, and it might develop over time. You might want to use focus groups. Oh, I'm sorry. You might want to use focus groups, putting a few people in a room and asking them questions about your products, your services. It might seem an alien concept. Big businesses do it all the time. Advertising agencies use it to refine not only the product, but their marketing approach. But a focus group doesn't have to be a massive thing. It might be that you get 3 or 4 people in the room who are your target audience, and you might just ask them, what do you think? What do you think about this product? What do you think about my website? And just get that feedback from them. Observation and data. So observing what customers do and looking at the data that you've got from that. If you've got a shop, it might be literally observing, oh, it's really interesting. 90% of people, when they come through the door, go to this place or go over there or look in this area. That might let you put all your best offers in that place. But it's the same with your website. You know, if you see everybody on the homepage looks at this one particular banner and clicks through on it, well, okay, so how do you implement what you're doing there on other pages on your website? And looking at your data, we've talked about a Google Analytics session. I can easily deliver this over the online medium, like a Zoom webinar. So we'll be talking about that. Gareth, yeah, do you think that will be something we can implement in the short term, in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah.
We can do it live and let people ask questions, or we can, you know, maybe record it as well, and then people can see at their leisure.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that in the team chat later. You might offer tests and trials. Okay, it might be that people don't buy your product because they're not quite sure how it works, or they're not sure if it would work for them. So a test and a trial is an easy way for you to say, hey, look, you know, have 30 days free. I'm working with a company at the moment. They do unlimited WordPress support. So literally you pay your subscription and they will fix as many problems or update your website, add content, do whatever you like as many times in a month as you want. And we have decided that we're going to give away a 30-day free trial. Hey, you know, at the end of 30 days, if you're not convinced that that service pays for itself, then don't sign up. But that's something that it doesn't actually, over the course of the customer's lifetime in your business, actually cost that much. And you might limit it. You know, it doesn't have to be everybody. It might be new customers only, or if you use this voucher code. Doesn't have to be a massively complex thing. Again, Google Trends. I'm going to get Google Trends up actually, because it's interesting to look at it and show you actually what it's all about. So this is Google Trends. It's literally trends.google.com. Now, Google obviously has a large amount of data, and they use this data in many different ways. But what they're also looking at is their search terms, how they change over time. So how frequent a search term might be used. If somebody wants to give me a topic or a search term in the book, in the chat, I will use that as an example. So is there anyone who can offer me a, or else I will just use one off of the top of my head? Okay, I'm going to go with...
Oh, bookkeeper.
Bookkeeper, yeah, okay. Bookkeeper, there we go. Okay, so as you can see, the topic is here. You can compare it to another topic. So you could say bookkeeper versus accountant, or bookkeeper versus company finance director, or whatever. It just shows you how the two search terms have either gone up or go down, or may even be correlated. There are some filters here: United States, worldwide, Afghanistan. But we want to try United Kingdom. There we go. And click there, and then United Kingdom, there we go. Past 12 months, well, let's go for all the way from back in time, all categories. Yeah, we want to look for it in all categories. And whether it was an image search, a news search, a Google Shopping, or a YouTube search, we're going to keep it as a web search. So it's saying that there's not enough data to show here, which is unusual. So let's have a look at that as a search term. All right, okay, so as a search term rather than a topic. Apologies, clicked on the wrong thing. So you can see the interest in bookkeepers over time has trended up. Okay, and you can download this information. But so back from January 2004, the interest in it has gone up. Now, you might want to look at it over the last 12 months and see how it has seasonally affected. You know, are there peaks and troughs? Where are these peaks and troughs? Beginning of January, there's a lot of interest in bookkeepers. Surprise, surprise. But here's one in June, the middle of June, there's a peak. That's interesting, because does that mean that if you ran a promotional activity around this time or just before it, you'd possibly win some more business because people are actually seeking this service. Again, in August, there's a little spike. So it seems like most months, in the middle of the month, there is a need for a bookkeeper. You know, I'm talking in general terms. So is it worth thinking that your marketing activity should take place in the middle of the month rather than all the way through the month? Yeah, if you're going to spend £200 on Google AdWords, what people try and do is spread it out over the month. Well, actually, you want to spread it out over the period that people are most likely to be looking for it. And it might be that most people take 2 weeks from the time they last spoke to their bookkeeper or accountant to realize, actually, they're a complete shambles and I'm looking for a new one. And that might be the motivation. The majority of people are searching in England, and there are related topics. Now, these are topics that are rising, okay? These are the top topics that are related to this search term. Bookkeeping, jobs, accounting, part-time job, accounts. There's 25 topics usually that are at the top, and you can look here for related queries. So what is a bookkeeper? What does a bookkeeper do? Bookkeeping jobs near me. So what is a bookkeeper has risen. Yeah. What does a bookkeeper do? That's also gone up. Yeah. Over the last 12 months, there's been a large percentage increase. And that's in the full search volume over that time. So you can see that you can use this information to explore your niche, your topic, your field, and explore things about your target audience. You know, if this is true, and it's a speculation, I'm just guessing, it might very well correlate with your own Google Analytics. You might see a spike every month in the middle of the month for traffic. So you're starting to learn something, and that's how you can learn data and use that. And you might use Amazon. You know, Amazon top 10 for most things is worth exploring. So if we go into the best-selling books and using the business, industry, and science category, these are bestsellers. Now, yeah, okay. So the current situation, these are likely to be at the top. But you can do this bestsellers for books. So you go into books, because there's different bestsellers here: CD and vinyl, electronics, so all of the different categories they sell are listed, and you can see more bestsellers in books, and then you can drill into the business, finance, and law. So the top selling book at the moment is The Science of Storytelling, a small town in Germany. I'm not quite sure why that's in the business, finance, and law section. John le Carre. Passive Income Blueprint, Activity Journal, Tiny Habits. So this is what people are thinking about. This is what people are searching for, finding, and buying. It might very well be that this is at the top of the Times bestseller list. You don't know, but by going in and having a look and seeing what it's about might inform you about your customers. You know, what books are your customers likely to buy and be interested in? What are those people reading about that, yeah, like this, The Intelligent Investor? There might be, you can have a look inside and you can look at the table of contents, and all these topics are things that people are interested in who have bought this book. And those might be topics for blog posts, okay? And they might allow you to find out more about your customers, because of, if they visit those blog posts, they read about your interpretation of that topic and engage more with you. So it's more than just research. It's about creating the content that your ideal customers are likely to want to engage with. And that also, you know, follows through with your most visited web pages. So that's an easy way to look for, or some easy ways to look for, your marketplace. Anything that gives you an insight into your marketplace is worth considering. So this is more about, step 2 is more about the market, customer and product, and how those 3 things fit together. So what is the size of your market? Because we want to know that we are marketing to a sector that is profitable. Okay, it's no good trying to sell something that nobody wants. You want to make sure that what it is you are offering. And yes, so we take Michael's example of bookkeeper, and it might very well be that people want a bookkeeper, but is that actually what they're looking for? Are they actually looking for something bigger than that? Now, it might be accounting services, and he might be able to team up with an accountant or talk to accountants and offer his services in depth as a consultation to introduce him to the accountant's customers. Or it might be that he thinks more in terms of being a financial director, and a non-exec financial director that goes into smaller businesses and delivers 2 or 3 days of his skill set to give the business owner what they want. So maybe, you know, freelance financial director is more about what the customers that he wants to target are talking about. So that's that marketplace, is people in the market for freelance financial directors, which is completely different to what's the size of the marketplace for people who want bookkeepers. Yeah, I know Michael doesn't want people who turn up with a bag of receipts in January and say, can you do my tax return? So think about the actual marketplace you're selling to and what you're currently trying to sell to them, because that will also inform who you're actually trying to sell to. Yeah, there's a difference between the bag of receipts guy and the guy looking for a freelance financial director. Those people have 2 entirely different outlooks and sets of problems. So it will alter completely how you market and what your ideal customer looks like. And think to yourself, when you've gone into this and you've drilled into it, is that actually your ideal customer? You know, does your ideal customer actually fit in that marketplace at all? You know, if you're looking for people who are searching for a freelance financial director, and I'm talking about searching in the wider sense, not just online, are those people actually likely to be looking for that? Do they have a separate problem which is manifesting that, you know, with your skill and experience as needing a freelance financial director? So it's more than just looking at the marketplace and going, oh yeah, you know, there's billions of people in this marketplace, I can sell to them. You can't sell to everyone. And actually, as a small business, niching down and being a specialist will get your ball rolling a lot quicker, a lot sooner than if you go out to the world and say, I'm a generalist. Because what you end up with is all of the customers that either don't know that they're a bad customer or just want something cheap, because you haven't niched down and you haven't told them and given and signaled to them that you're a high quality brand, and that as a premium brand, you charge a premium. So it's all connected, all of that, the market, the customer and the product, they're all connected in this. And think about what I was talking about being a specialist. If you're a specialist, you sell a particular product that the marketplace wants, right? If you're going out to the marketplace and only selling what you want to sell, then you're going to have a really hard time trying to find the right customers. Yeah, you've got to be selling what the market wants. And then the third, step 3 for market research, think about if there are specific events that trigger buyers' needs. We looked in the Google Trends and we saw that at the beginning of the month, the search trend was down, but in the middle of the month, it's up. So what triggers that change in search volume? What is going on in the marketplace that triggers that? Now, it might be that your ideal customer doesn't just make a knee-jerk reaction and start searching for it in the middle of the month. Again, we're guessing as to why people are searching in the middle of the month. And it may be that your ideal customer is looking for a very specific thing and would look for that at any time. So you've got to really dig into this and really think about it. you've also got to look at specific time and place the buyer will buy. Okay, you've got to put yourself in the shoes of the buyer and think what activities are going on, what events are happening that make the person buy. We saw when I drilled into Amazon bestsellers that a lot of their bestsellers are gloves and face masks. Well, we know what's triggering that. But is there a certain activity or a certain indicator in your ideal customer's world that is the equivalent that makes them want urgently to talk to someone about what it is you're selling? And are there any other buying parameters? You know, perhaps there's for your particular customers, there's a procurement procedure. There's always a procurement procedure for your type of customers, and trying to skirt around it just won't fly. So thinking about those other buying parameters that are in the way of the customer signing up, or the prospect signing up and becoming a customer, will allow you to understand what's going on in their world and what you need to do to attract the right type of customer, by showing them that you understand what their buying parameters are. Also, people avoid looking at the competitors, or they look at the competitors and try and compare like for like, but it's not just your direct competitors. It's the other things in the marketplace that could be alternatives, either cheaper or higher priced, quicker to be delivered, etc. And an example I'm going to give is the mobile phone. Okay, when the mobile phone came out, Kodak could not have possibly thought that mobile phones would challenge them in the camera department. Okay, they're a camera company, they're a mobile phone. But the moment the camera phone was added to a mobile phone, Kodak should have been worried. Kodak should have been all over that. They didn't, and it's cost them dearly. Well, is the same in your marketplace? Are there alternatives out there that you could either offer yourselves, or are in different fields entirely, which people are relying on, that are possibly good customers that you can go and talk to? Requires a bit of thought and a bit of research, but it's worth considering. Okay, so we've looked at the market research there. Are there any questions about market research, Gareth, or anybody who's currently still looking? Are there?
Not at the moment. Anyone got any questions for us to cover on market research?
Market research. What is the events that make your customers buy? Yes, that's a good question to ask. Sarah's asked how to hire staff for the Google Trends. Well, now you know where Google Trends is, Sarah. You can just leap in there and click around to your heart's content. So we're actually now looking at the ideal customer profile. So the actual person that you want to appeal to. Now,
so hold on, we've just had a question from Sarah. How can you structure the right question for a survey?
Oh, that's a great answer. I can give you some tips, because every survey and every ideal customer and every business will have different parameters. But a great way to ask a question is with open-ended answers. So you might think that a yes/no on something is what you want, but if you ask the question and structure it in such a way as it allows the end user to give you some more in-depth feedback, you might discover something that you didn't know. Another tip I would offer you is go and look at your testimonials, and it will have lots of information in it, you know, as to why the person bought, as to why they like you. Maybe think about asking your surveyed, your people who fill in the survey, about those topics. Is you know, highly adaptable important to you, and why? Is a responsive and upbeat team important to you, and why? Because you want to uncover not just that if your testimonial says they're a fantastic team who are always upbeat and positive. You want to discover why upbeat and positive is important to people. Yeah. So you can guess and say to yourself, well, of course, who wants to work with a misery guts? But you might say, is upbeat and positive important to you? And somebody might say, not as much as the results that are delivered. And I'd rather have somebody who was more serious than frivolous all the time. So it might allow you to see an insight in the customer thinking, because that's what you're trying to uncover, not necessarily a yes/no answer. Does that help, Sarah? Is that useful? Not a problem. That's why we're here. So, and feel free to ask questions as you go along, folks. If there's anything that I'm covering or skipping over, or you want to know more about, just ask in the chat box. And Gareth will interrupt me, as he usually does. So the ideal customer profile. Now, a lot of the time, we don't like to generalize or niche people by age, race, and gender. Okay, we as a society deem that to be a bad thing. You wouldn't give somebody a job because they were too old. You wouldn't give somebody a job because they were too old would be a bad thing, or that they were a man or a woman is a bad thing. But actually, you've got to think this way for your business, because you want to know if your product is for a man or a woman. We know that those products need to look and maybe behave in certain ways. Now, I've had this conversation with people when I've given this talk, and there's been lots of murmurs in the room. But go to Boots, walk down the toiletries aisle and look at the toiletries for men and the toiletries for women. If we all shopped and thought in the same way, we would all have the same packaging, men and women. But we don't. The men's is blacks, silvers, bright primary colours, oranges, reds. The ladies, it has some of that in there, but they tend to be more muted, more pastel, more flowery. And that's just the way that we are as genders. And it might be that you want to break that stereotype. That's great. But does your ideal customer value that approach? That's what you're interested in. You're not interested in whether you are right or wrong. You're interested in whether or not the ideal customer that you are targeting is going to respond to your marketing and to your products and services. So you need to know a little bit about them. You know, I always give them a name. It makes it so much more personable. And think about one of your ideal customers. You know, if their name is Steve or Sandra, maybe you call them Steve or Sandra, you know, and it will help you. It's just a hook to hang this sketch as you start it. Age range. Again, you can look at your Google Analytics and you can see the age range of people. You might do an estimate of what age all of your customers currently are and see, oh, actually, yeah, they're all middle-aged or they're all young. You might realize that actually, you know, people aren't going to buy my product until they are of a certain age. If you were a divorce specialist, it might be that you're not looking to target 20 to 30-year-olds, because most people aren't even married at that point nowadays. And it might be that 40 to 50-year-olds is where you're starting to see the peak of your ideal customers. Think about their education level. You know, did they leave school and get their job, or did they go to university? Did they go on to higher education? And if so, what level is that? It makes a difference. If it didn't make a difference, it wouldn't be considered by insurance people when they're taking out personal insurance to be a factor. Location. Where are they located? How are you selling them? How are you reaching them? Are they locally? Do they walk into your shop? Or are they regional? Can you talk to people over a wider area? And if you can do it online, then you have a global reach. So do the different nationalities that you are approaching. If you're selling to the English world, the Australians, the Americans, the Canadians, and the English, they all think slightly differently. You know, so Do you need perhaps a different website for the different regions?
So we've, sorry, Stu, we've just had a question. What is the difference between the ideal customer that brings you the most business and, oh, hold on, and the ideal, oh, it's disappeared right there, and the ideal customer that you want to work with? I can see a bit of a conflict here, as I'd rather have the latter, but the business might benefit from the former.
Well, Shana, you've got to go back to what your mission is. If your mission is about serving the customers that you want to work with, and you pride that more than the size of your bank balance, then you might choose to work with those people. But it might be that those people aren't keeping your head above water. So you might then choose the other people. You might not be as fulfilled, but your business is healthier. It really does depend on, you know, how much business you want to bring in. If the people that you enjoy working with don't wish to pay very much, and it means you have to work harder, well, that's a choice that you have to make. But it might be that you can work with those people and the other people, and you just charge the other people who are a bit of a pain in the butt, or maybe not the best fit, more. Yeah, you're charging them for pain that you're going to have to go through to deal with them. It might be that they are always on the phone or always emailing. Just because you deliver a product doesn't mean to say it has to be at the same price to everyone if they're more demanding on you or the business. So it really does depend on what your overall goal is as a therapist. Okay, if I was to start a therapy business, I wouldn't have a one-size-fits-all approach. I might have packages, but those packages would be highly targeted by what I branded them like and how they were labeled. You know, if I knew that working with pregnant mums was really fulfilling, but they don't have much money, so it might be that you limit your the number of pregnant mums or mums to be to just 5 a month, because you need another 5 people who are high-powered business people who are actually draining. You might charge 3 times as much, and then you'd have the business person stress relief package, and it might start from a certain number. And if you want me out of hours, then we add our out of hours waiting. If you want me at a drop of a hat, I have 2 appointments a day, and these are triple the price. So it's about thinking about how you can help the most people, but also help yourself. And the balance of that is completely down to the individual. I know somebody who works as an artist, and she makes enough money to keep her head above water and no more. And she could make a lot more money by working with corporates and doing corporate art. But she said she just doesn't want those kind of commissions. And fair play. Fair play. She knows what she wants and she's happy with what she's doing, then absolutely fair play. And it's just a decision you have to make. Does that answer you, Shana and Helen? Are you satisfied I've covered that in enough depth? I'm not saying that I've solved the problem for you, but hopefully given you some more questions to ask yourself about where you want your business to go. No
Yes.
problem.
Yeah.
It is going to be challenging, but maybe break your week down into units of what you're going to sell, and then say, well, let's say I've got 20 hours of therapy time to sell. I know that I've got to make X. I'm going to pick a price out the air. I've got 20 units and I want to make £2,000. Okay, so that's £100 a unit, £100 an hour. Now it might be that by working with people who can only afford £50 an hour, I then need to supplement that with work that starts at £150 an hour. And you've just got to weigh those things up. There's a kind of that's what running a business is weighing up the economic implications of decisions you're making. That's for any business. So challenging, yeah, but that's business. So step 5, ideal customer profile. You've got to think about the roles and responsibilities in that person's life. So what job or industry do they work in? Does that particular industry have a particular structure? And what is their job title in that structure? You know, it might very well be that you're selling to HR people, but they are not going to sign off on the project because it has to go past the FD. So maybe you need a 2-step marketing approach. You get the HR person engaged and give them something that they can then give to the FD, which explains the financial benefits. You've got to think wider than where you're at and what you're doing and the impact to the other person on the other side of it, especially if you want to work with bigger businesses. A lot of people who do house improvements won't have a design meeting or an initial meeting unless both partners are there, because the classic sales problem is, oh, this is really great, I love it, I love it, I love it, but I've got to speak to my wife or my husband. And that's just a sidestep for getting a load of quotes and getting people to do a load of free stuff in the hope that they'll get the job. You'll get far more business if you have both decision makers in the room at the same time. Then you can't say they can't use that excuse. It's one of the reasons why it's quite a shady industry, or used to be. It started out as a shady industry. Timeshare apartments. They always invited the husband and the wife because they didn't want to get into the situation where one or other of the partners would say, well, I can't make a decision unless my partner's with me. So you've got to think about that. How is that industry structured? And you've got to think about the preferred methods of communication. Are you emailing it to somebody and they would much rather you wrote them a letter because it was easier for them to use that letter and put it in front of somebody that could, you know, they could discuss it with, than when you email it to them because their company has a no printed emails policy. You know, I don't know, I'm making it up, but the point is, think about how that person likes to communicate and the tools they use in their job. You've got to think about the responsibilities and successes that that person uses to measure success. So, sorry, let me state that again. So what are their responsibilities and how do they measure the success of whether or not they've met those responsibilities? We're talking a lot more B2B here, but you can also think of it in terms of, let's say you were a therapist and you were looking to work with busy mums. Well, their job role is mum. Okay, it's a full-time job, 24/7. You never get a day off. You never get any rest. But what does that person measure their success as to whether or not they are actually making their mark as a mother on their children in the right way? What things are important to them? What are their priorities? Yeah. So it's the same in business as it is in the private people's private lives. We all have things that we measure success by. I know that I'm doing a good job as a dad if my kids are happy and engaged and want to spend time with me. That's how I measure my success as a dad. You might also think about who they report to. Obviously, I report to my wife. You know, and actually now my children are older, I report to them too. But it's important that you know what the hierarchy is and where this person sits within it, because you might need them to recruit and be a champion of you in the business to recruit people to become other champions. So if you go in and you're talking to the HR person, but they don't have the fingers on the pulse of the budget, then you need them to recruit the FD or the MD on board to make the decisions. And that's really true if you're going to work with bigger and bigger businesses. You're going to have to talk to more people to get them on board to make the investment, especially if it's a significant investment. A lot of times, you know, and this is happening more and more, I know that Hilton Hotel have given every single staff member the right to solve a problem up to, I think it's £50, and at a certain level it's £500, because actually if the customer has a problem and you have to refer it up the chain, it just slows everything down. The customer doesn't get the resolution they want. So if you say to a housekeeper, oh, I didn't get my biscuits and my coffee and my paper and whatever, they're not going to refer that to the general manager. They're just going to say, absolutely fine. Here's some additional biscuits. Maybe have something from the minibar and we'll mark it as free and gratis. So it's about knowing the level of empowerment each person has and the budget that they can sign off on. And it might be that your product is £50 too expensive to be signed off by your target audience, by your ideal customer. And if by reducing it by £51 gets it under their sign-off level, well, you'll get more business. So there's much to be thought about around roles and responsibilities and job titles, whether it's private, personal job titles, dad, mum, whatever. You got to really think about that. You've also got to look at their current challenges. So we mentioned in one of the other steps about what's going on in their life. But we all have different challenges.
Stuart, I've just had a question from Sarah.
Yeah.
That wants to know, who's the boss, Stuart?
What, in my relationship? Oh, Sarah, come on.
His wife.
Yeah. And she's the better person. You know, when they say, oh, my other half, she's my other 3/4. She's my spare brain. She's everything. How can you even ask that question? You've met her. She's gorgeous. I'm a very lucky man. And I can only explain her attraction to me is she's short-sighted. So I always try and stay at least 1.5 foot away from her. So current challenges in their life. Different people have different life challenges at different stages. So which life stage are your customers at? And are they thinking about the problems that you're solving? Also, careers. People move at different paces through career stages. And it might be that if you're looking to speak to financial directors, the majority of them are going to be in their 50s. Why? Because they started out training as an accountant. They got recruited by one of the customers that they were doing the accounts for with a really great opportunity as to be a part of the business. They took their skills in and did the accounting, and they got the job of financial director as the business grew. Now, that doesn't happen overnight. And it might be that the person, you know, they always talk about the greybeards running the business. It might be that the person needs 20 years of experience to reach the point where they are able to make the correct judgments, make the astute decisions. So look at your ideal customer and see what their current life challenges are, what their current work challenges are. Are there any major roadblocks preventing them reaching their goals? We looked back here at important goals, what their important goals are. What are the biggest challenges that they face to reach those goals? Yeah. And how can you deliver the most value to help them reach those goals? What are the roadblocks that you can remove by providing a service or offering them a product? How does what you do get them closer to what they want? Essentially, how do you remove those roadblocks? So you've got to really think about how your product is perceived, what the value of that product is to the target audience. Like I say, you know, if you look at the marketplace, you might be a really high-end service, but people will make do with a very low-end DIY service because they don't even know you exist. But it's the people for who are doing the DIY service that end up with a big problem that might be your ideal customer. So you've got to look at how you remove those roadblocks and what that value is to your target audience. So you've got to look at step 7, where is their time spent? So think about their week. What does it look like? And as we saw in that Google Trends, you move through the month and the trend for bookkeeper spiked in the middle of the month. Okay, we're talking roughly speaking. But is that because of a driver in their life? Is it because certain things happen at the beginning of the month, which means that you're not even thinking about searching for a bookkeeper until the middle of the month. And so where is their time spent? Inside and outside of work, in their private life or at work. It doesn't matter whether you're a therapist or you're selling HR services. What is a typical week looking like for this person? You know, what do they read magazines and books or other media? If they do, what are they? You know, if you go into a large newsagent and look at the absolute wall of magazines, you will see that there is a magazine for any niche. There is also a website where and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, which lists all the different magazines. But if you know that there is a magazine that is serving a niche, and there's all sorts of magazines, from trade magazines all the way through. But if you know that there's a magazine serving a niche, then you know that that niche is probably an ideal customer profile. So I know that there is a magazine for plastic extrusions. Now, I won't tell you how I know that, but I know that. And that means that there are people out there for whose life is all about plastic extrusions. And if those are your ideal target customers, getting that magazine and reading it cover to cover every month will tell you what is going on in their life, because that magazine will cover all of the major problems, all the major issues, all the major talking points that you can then repurpose for your own content or for your own marketing. You might even want to take out an advert, but that's the point. Where is your customers' eyeballs looking, and how do you get in front of them?
So Shumi's just came up with a very good idea.
Yeah.
And she said it's kind of basically making sort of using this situation to best benefit us. And she said in this current crisis, has seen a lot of customers express their needs, problems, and requirements, which is useful for sort of FAQ lists and creating services to match what it is that they're needing.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. There's a book where a guy talks all about how he uses FAQs to regenerate his business and take it from a failing business to a several £1 million a year turnover business. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I will remember, and we'll put it in the Facebook group. Another incentive to sign up to the Facebook group. But he was running a swimming pool business in Richmond, Virginia, and he was failing, and he started to realize that if he answered all of the FAQs that his customers could ever think about, and that's all he spent his day doing effectively, was answering customers' questions. So he turned them into blog posts, and now they've turned them into videos. And it's a fantastic example of how FAQs can really turn things around. We're talking about where people are spending their time. If they're not spending their time asking questions, what other websites are they looking at? What forums are they in? Can you go and join these? And don't sell in those forums. You don't need to do that, but go and lurk and see what people are discussing. What are the big problems that they focus on? They might talk about the other activities that they get involved with offline. You know, other groups that they are members of. If your members are 60% are interested in amateur theatre, then, you know, reach out to those people and start talking to them about that. Use that knowledge to make the people feel like you understand them a bit better, because we all want to be understood. It's a basic human driver. And if your customers feel like you understand them better, you've got a much better chance of creating a loyal customer base. And think about how much time they spend with those activities and what's stopping them. Is it something you can help them with? It could be that you say, yeah, instead of spending 2 hours doing your books, you could spend 2 hours learning your lines. And suddenly, boom, oh wow, he's talking to me. He understands my pressures. My time is precious. And what I want to do is be in theatre, doing theatre, when I'm actually sat behind my desk crunching numbers. It's a great way of allowing the customer, your ideal customer, to see that you truly understand them. Think about common objections. So at some point, your customers, sorry, your prospects are going to be sat in front of you, and you're going to finish your sales pitch, and they're going to tell you all the reasons why they can't buy from you. It could be anything, depending on the different, like we talked about, I need to talk to my wife or my partner or my husband. That might be a common objection. So how do you overcome it? Now, you don't overcome it in the room because it's too late. They're sat there, their husband and their wife's elsewhere. So you overcome it earlier on by saying you will only book appointments with the husband and wife, and give an incentive for that. You know, there's a gift for him and there's a gift for her, and they need to pick which one, and you can only do it in person. It's going to depend a lot on what your circumstances are as to what the objections would be. So think about what's preventing them saying yes, but also, is there anything you're doing that is making it easy for them to say no? We once had a customer, we optimized their website and we improved their conversion rate for sales, because one of the things that was in the way was there was an email that needed to be received and a code that needed to be put in to the website before they could log into the website and buy their products. So we automated that process because the code was being sent by someone in their office. Well, if the person didn't see that for a day or two, the person sat there in front of their computer isn't going to sit there for a day or two. They're going to have forgotten about it in a day's time. So we automated it where we had a random number generated, it added it to their account in the database, sent an email out pretty much instantaneously, and we used to flash up a message and say, check your inbox. They went to their inbox, they got the number, they put it back in the website, boom. Yeah. By not sending that immediately, we were making it, the customer was making it so easy for the person to say no that they had a 98% failure rate. And that's also a reason why people would delay buying. Oh, these people are difficult to do business with. But there might be other reasons. And there might be reasons why they delay responding. You know, that's going back to understanding what's going on in their life. You know, you might send them out a marketing pack. They might not get back to you. You then chase them up a day later and they go, give me a moment. You know, I'm doing X, Y, or Z. So you've really got to understand what's going on in their life so that you can create marketing that's going to work with the person's time and current experiences, and not just be like niggling them or badgering them. What's the difference between a wanted email and a piece of spam? Timing. Yeah, timing. That's all it is. If I send you an email about wedding flowers and you're not getting married, well, I've either missed the boat because you already are married, or I'm too early because you're not planning a wedding. So it's all about the timing. Yeah, and that's why you've got to understand their life, what's going on in it. And then you've got to understand what's preventing them acting on those messages. Yeah, are they at the wrong time? Or is something broken technically? You know, go through, I just told you about working with a unlimited WordPress support company. And we worked through the entire process from the person landing on the website to purchasing and the onboarding, because I wanted it to be as smooth as possible, as linear, as flat as possible. They do this, they do this, they do this, they do this. And we had a point where it was broken. Yeah, one of the emails the link wasn't clickable. So they had to cut and paste it. So we made it clickable. And you might not think that's a major problem, but if the person opens their email and they can't click on something, they might think, oh, well, this is broken, I want a refund. We're just taking away those problems that make it easy for people to say no.
Shumi has asked us if we'll do a session on automations and efficient workflows. So I've said yes.
Yes, we can only talk in generic terms, but yes, we can talk about possible customer flows. Yeah, we can. Yeah, we could do something around that. Yeah, make a note of that, Gareth. And then think about contraindicators. We talked about what's making it easy for people to say no, but are there things, activities that, or things that people say that are going to make you say no. Yeah. Because if you're sat in front of too many people that you're just thinking, these aren't great customers, or I don't want to do business with these people, then you're going to be wasting your time. Okay. It's as important that your marketing rules people out as much as it rules people in. It's a filter. Okay. So if there are negative persona traits, yeah, I'm trying to make it, I'm trying to be subtle, but basically we all know them, pain in the ass customers. They come, they use all your resources, they question every bill, they phone you up at the most inappropriate time and then get ticked off because you didn't respond to an email or a text within 30 seconds. Yeah, but you end up doing business with them because, well, I better take this business because some business is better than no business. I'm not so sure. I have in the past fired customers. I have just literally said that we're stopping your contract because they just weren't prepared to be reasonable. And why should I therefore be expected to make up the shortfall and have to be Mr. Overly reasonable? So think about those deal breakers, things that people say that make you go, no, they're not a good customer. I know from past experience, listening to your business intuition on this can sometimes pay dividends, but write them into your customer profile. Because if you have to ever recruit a salesperson or somebody who interacts with customers, they're going to want to know all this stuff. It's really important that you write it all down. And just like other red lights or red flags, they might not be personal things. It might just be that the person says, oh, when I get my check next month, I'm going to blah, blah. Well, sorry, you're going to have a conversation with me next month. Let's schedule a time in the diary to have that conversation when the checks come. Because you do all the work now and have all that conversation, and then they phone you and say, oh, I'm sorry, but the check's been delayed another week. Well, you don't want to be in that position. Yeah, push it off down the road and talk to somebody else who has their money now. So there are red lights and red flags that we can put in place which allow you to handle that customer. You've got to think of it as like a flow diagram. Is the person ready to buy? Yes. Are they the right profile? Yes. Do they have their money in place? Yes. Yeah. And if you get the right yeses, they become a customer. And that's all this is. It's just giving you the information you need to allow the person to go from your marketing into your business and continue to be a customer in the smoothest and easiest way possible.
I saw a really great flowchart, complete side note, but it was a great flowchart about deciding what you wanted to do with your evening. And no matter which way that you went, whether it was a yes or a no, you ended up in the middle, which was basically going out and getting drunk. Best thing ever.
Fair enough. And the final kind of thing is other considerations. You might have more than one ideal customer. Just because you do this for one customer, for one product or service you deliver, there might be other customers for either the same product or service or a slightly tweaked version of it. And in these times that we're sitting in, it's worthwhile thinking about this. How do you tweak what you're doing and make it something that somebody else could participate in? So it might be if you're a therapist and you don't do you do one-to-ones and you can't do that because we're all in lockdown. It might be that you offer a counseling session over video, but of course your ideal customer might not know how to do video, so you might want to send them a link to something that makes it easy for them to use the video on their phone. So thinking about how you take what you do and adapt it. Ideal example is in the introduction. Suzanne Driver does one-to-one, does face-to-face training, was delivering a course on training on Excel, can't do it. So we've spoken to her, we've adapted it, we trained her and shown her how to use our webinar software, and we're going to deliver the training over the internet. So we've taken something that was looking like a total loss, we couldn't do it, and turning it into a win for everyone, because the people who wanted and were booked on were disappointed. But they're now even happier because it's much cheaper. We're giving a discount to BiZHUB members, And Suzanne still gets some of her income and is able to still deliver. For her, that training session is really important, delivering and giving and explaining this stuff to people and empowering them. Yeah, sometimes it's not just all about the money, as we spoke about earlier. So you could think about, do you have a premium version? Do you have an upsell? Maybe you could have a downsell in these times. You know, strip out products. We're talking about how we can do that in the hub and for Signals. Watch this space is all I can say. But when the marketplace changes, don't be slow to react. You can't just have one product and just sell it to everybody and hope that they'll buy it in perpetuity and you'll never have to change it. I mean, forget it. It just doesn't happen. Be adaptable. Adapt to the current situation and you'll get through it. You might not be making as much as you thought you were going to make, but you're making something. And I think we're all learning that we're going to have to be adaptable and understand the other people's position. And who knows, we may come out of this a united front. This might be the thing that binds the country back together again after the debacle of Brexit. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that we can get through this and come out stronger than we went into it. Okay. The final one, and it's a simple one. Do you need other ideal customer profiles? Yes or no? Are there other ideal customers that you could service? We've just spoken about how you could do that. Think about it. Really go into depth. If you need to discuss it with us, ping us, message us, let us know. And we hope you found this useful. We hope that the in-depth look at this worksheet has given you more value from the session we had last week. Who's found it valuable? Can I get some yeses?
Yeah, I mean, can I just say Sarah's made a very good point about, you know, people with small businesses, and she said small businesses are able to align, to be agile and align our products and services to the needs of the customers. It's a great advantage being a small business because you have that power. When you've got a big corporate company, you know, you can make a decision. It has to go to your boss, who goes to their boss, which goes up and up and up and up, and then it will then come back down. You know, it's a great advantage that you've got being a small business.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a small business, if you aren't taking every single advantage, including being able to tweak and change products and approaches, then you're missing a trick. But I would urge caution that you don't have a different product or service for every single customer with different price points, because you will trip over yourself. You then have to create all sorts of processes to put in place. All the discounts you need to automate all of that can be troublesome. So I would temper the fact that we are agile and we are light on our feet with stick to your principles. Don't just write lower packages just because somebody has asked you to. Give it some thought. If you're selling it to a new package to one customer, are there more customers out there like that you could sell this package to? Because otherwise you'll go through the problem of setting all of this stuff up and just got one customer that you have to make an exception for every single time you're doing this stuff. Believe you me, it becomes really difficult to manage when you start to scale up. And even if you only scale up in a small way.
Perfect.
Brilliant. Okay. All right. Well, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's lunchtime. It's 12 o'clock. We can't go over to Cafe 1759. They're no longer open at the moment. And all we can say is we will have our lunch and we will have a chat and discuss more in depth what value we as BiZHUB and Signal can deliver to you, our members. But do give us that feedback. Do go to the website, signalborden.org/newsflash. Do keep up to date, bookmark that page, join the members group, send us messages, keep us buoyant because we love feedback. Give us as much feedback as you're prepared to, and we will respond in turn. But watch out next week because we've got some fun stuff coming up. Like we said, who's on Monday, Gareth?
Emma.
Emma's on Monday. Remember, Tuesday is Tuesday. Wednesday is, yeah, it's going to be the best.
Louise.
Yeah, Louise is Wednesday. Claire is on
Thursday.
Thursday. And Friday is
The best.
the hub.
Me.
So we're still doing the hub every week on a Friday, as planned. Keep an eye on Eventbrite. If we have to postpone, change, or tweak anything, we will do alternatives. We're working hard to ensure that we deliver as much value as we possibly can. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us, trying out some new stuff, looking at stuff in a fresh new way. And I wish you all the very best. I wish you and your loved ones are safe and that you're not too bored in this lockdown period. And we all come out of it absolutely ready to take advantage of all the opportunities. Thank you so much. And we'll see you soon.
Yes. Same again. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Just remember, community is key.
Yes.
So, yes. Anything you need, just contact one of the Signal team, and we're definitely going to be here to help.
Definitely.
Now it's time to go and eat some lunch because I'm very hungry.
Yes. All the best, all.
See you later.
Bye-bye.